All right. Now, is there anything that fits better into this than the one that's fresh on my head because it's the newest scandal, Andrew Cuomo? I mean, we'll get to everything in due course. Let's go to Andrew Cuomo. The scandal, it's just a sign of the times, I guess. It's a sign of the politics that you could be responsible, arguably responsible, but I don't think it's arguable anymore. You can be responsible for the excess deaths of thousands of people, still get a Grammy Award, still publish a book that nobody seems to be clamoring. I don't know how you undo those things once done. You can't unring those bells, but you can do all that. That's not the end of your political career. Behave inappropriately with people, and that will be the end of your political career. Cuomo has been notorious in his misbehavior with women, and we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it on video, where the time I did that video with the sausage video, people were saying, Viva, he's done worse things. Why are you making a big deal about this? And I said, well, first of all, I'm covering the worst things as well. But this, I think, is an indicative of a pattern, of a mentality. And so the poo-poo hit the fan. A bunch of people, one after the other, are coming out now saying that he did these very bad things. The Attorney General, Letitia James, who no one can accuse of being politically biased in the overt sense of Republican versus Democrat in this, but there might be some politics playing. Letitia James, Attorney General, just did a report, an investigation they conducted. I don't know, I forget how many. They issued 70 subpoenas, interviewed hundreds of witnesses or 100 witnesses, thousands and thousands of pages of documents. They issue a report, a final report that concludes that Andrew Cuomo broke state and federal law and committed sexual harassment, created a hostile work environment, yada, yada, yada. So I guess the first question that I have as an outsider Canadian who doesn't necessarily appreciate the extent of this, what is the probative value of this report for anybody who says they wanted to sue Cuomo beforehand but didn't have the support that they thought they needed?
Well, in defense of Cuomo, he just has a different way of saying good. That's so the good old Andrew. The Kyle Dunnigan has a great little I think that's his name. Great comedian. He has like a fresh president of DC comedian, but he has a whole comedic routine with Cuomo that's just great. He even does the charts.
Everyone has to watch it if you haven't seen it. I think Joe Rogan shouted him out. It's horrifying because it's like sort of the face over stuff, like the deep fake stuff. It's hilarious. Kyle Dunnigan. But yeah, sorry, Robert, keep going.
Exactly, because he had his whole chart. Started off as a sex symbol amongst all the Democrats. Then, all the killing old people turned out to be unpopular, but it turned out that the sex scandal has replaced that. So people are forgetting he killed all the old people. So the utility to the report will be twofold. One is they will initiate impeachment proceedings against him. And this is a prediction that we had going all the way back, which was that the likely outcome was that they were going to force him out one way or the other. But two, you would have to drag him out of there because that's who a Cuomo is. So that's just the nature of the animal. And so he and his brother Frito, so the whole nature of that's what's going to likely happen. But it can be used in the impeachment proceedings against him. It also is a whole bunch of evidence. So they have a bunch of sworn evidence. So it's not so much the report, it's the sworn evidence that they have that a plaintiff can say, based on this, they have new claims, or that they have a bunch of evidence available to them based on this to file suits. Now, it's the taxpayers of New York who will be paying that bill. So so it's always a little bit, interesting the way that works. But I think he's going to have an uphill battle with the impeachment cause, unless he knows something I don't. And both the attorney general wants to be governor, and so Dershowitz was critical of a report, and I understand that, but Cuomo's still as guilty gets, in my view.
Guilty not just based on the accusations. I put the video out yesterday. He's not guilty just based on the accusations. He's guilty based on his own statements. I mean, he says at one point in response to the accusation that he touched one of the executive assistant number one at his mansion. He says, first of all, his denial did not actually contain a denial. He says that I would have to have lost my mind to do something like that. Touch her in front of 10 employees in my mansion in plain view of everyone. And I didn't mention it in the video, but in the report, it says we found that answer was totally misleading because A, there's not 10 employees working at the mansion. B, the allegation was that this was on the second floor, not in view of other employees. And, the explanation that he gave made no sense. On another occasion, with respect to I think it's executive assistant number 1 as well. He says, I don't remember kissing her. I kiss a lot of people. I do this with everybody. I kiss them on the forehead. Sometimes I kiss them on the lips, as if that's normal. With anyone but your wife, spouse, partner, or maybe your kids, if you don't mind kissing filthy animals on the mouth. Maybe. And I always remember growing up, I was grossed out when parents kissed my friends on the lips, even like a little Beck. I thought it was weird, but whatever. I became a parent and it's not so weird. But he says that casually. Yeah, I kissed some employees on the lips and thinks that's it. But I don't remember doing it to this person. I mean, that in my mind, you're done for. There's no backing out of that. So it's not just based on the allegations or the accusations. It's based on his own admissions. I kissed some people on the lips, but not her as relates to that accusation. But the Attorney General finds that he broke the law. I mean, that's the report concludes. He broke the law, state and federal law. Is that, does that hold weight if you go in front of a judge with it? I mean, there's been no judge, there's been no trial, there's been an adversarial hearing, but nothing before a judge. Does that finding carry legal weight?
No, not legally binding at all. So it's helpful in the court of public opinion. It gives you a roadmap to a range of evidence. So it's very helpful, but you'd have to get that evidence independently yourself. And it's the number of accusers within the time frame of those accusers and the fact they're all Democrats that, with my knowledge, are accusing them, that there's multiple witnesses that, as you note, he issued non-denial denials. So the aggregate of it points towards guilt on this. The fact that they're not willing to take any other action is interesting, that they're not willing to, back it up. They're just they're hoping, they first thought they could get him to resign. Now they're hoping to impeach him. They hope that to push him out without any consequences that could flow towards anybody else. So, stayed away from the deaths because that implicates other Democrats in other states. Stayed away from official action because they don't want to have a formal action themselves. But they don't understand they're going to have to drag him out of there. So maybe he'll have the Boston legal defense, William Shatner's character, who his defense was it was an attractive nuisance. So maybe that will be the excuse. We'll see what else he comes up with. I don't know. I didn't know whether this was a meme or his actual defense that he purportedly showed photos of Bill Clinton and Joe Biden doing similar conduct. I don't know. I was like, that would be classic, but I didn't see if that was just a meme or he really was.
Well, I mean, we've all seen the montage of Joe Biden being exquisitely inappropriate with just young people.
Jill was like, get the girl away from him. Get the little kid away from him.
The thing is, everybody wants to say, like, well, what about Joe Biden? Well, let's deal with one pervert at a time because we've all seen the montage. The montage went viral before Joe Biden got elected. I'm trying not to say that in a way that will trigger any algorithmic things. We all knew that Joe Biden video. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable to watch. But I guess, people wanted that more than somebody who makes angry tweets. Some people did. But no, the idea of kissing somebody who's not your family or partner on the lips, you're the freaking governor of New York. You have no business. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your schmeckle in your pants and don't put your lips on anybody, period, ever. Forehead, cheek, whatever. But now people are saying, Robert, because people are cynical and rightly so, he's a Democrat. Nothing's going to happen to him. I think it's different.
He's been DOA all along. There was, my interpretation was that this was Kamala Harris. But that you could see the writing on the wall. Both him and Newsom were going to face serious consequences. Newsom might dodge it yet, but Cuomo was not. Newsom's taking a lot of hits just by having a recall happen, and Cuomo's taken certain hits. He lost certain political allies he didn't understand, so that and that certain people were adversaries, and he didn't understand how they operated. And you were just he's so accustomed to getting away with it, he thought he always would. And the problem here was this was an easy personal way to take him out, and he likely will be impeached. When Biden came out right away and called for his resignation, that was it. That's like Bill Clinton calling for your resignation for sexual harassment. Can you imagine? Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't do that behavior.
And not to be cynical, but Joe Biden has every interest in the world to make someone else the villain when it comes to being a creepy pervert. Focus. Look at him. Don't look at me and forget about that video. I don't remember doing it. I don't think, like, when people say he's going to walk, he's a Democrat. I don't think so. I think this is it. I think he's done. I think even internally, when we say, like, this is a political thing at its core, it's not Republican versus Democrat right now. It's power jostling within the Democratic Party. I didn't know Leticia James wants to be governor of New York. Makes perfect sense. We've been talking about the Kamala Harris sort of angle eliminating potential competition. It seems to be playing out, but I don't think Cuomo's surviving this. this is impeachment on its face because you now have an attorney general saying he committed a crime. We know
while he was governor, using his power of governor to do it.
Oh, and it's the reprisals as well. It's not just the inappropriate conduct. It's that the report finds reprisals for those who came out. So for people being, I can understand everyone's traumatized into, outright cynicism. I don't think Cuomo's surviving this. It's just a matter of time. And Robert, I think we're on the same page.
And that's where your sausage video was very revelatory, because anybody watching that knows exactly what he's doing. And he did it in front of his daughter. So that gives you an idea of who the guy is.
And that's what everyone's. I'm not sure if I knew that when I made the video at the time, the first time. I think I did, but I don't want to bring family into it. Yeah. When you do things like that, it shows the level of comfort, the level of contempt for normalcy, or the fact that that's his new normal. I get to make sausage jokes to an attractive reporter in front of my daughter with my entire executive team around me, and no one's going to do anything about it. And Lord knows what he's gotten away with in the past. One of the things, not to get into too much of the nitty-gritty detail, apparently when he propositioned I think it was the state trooper, whom he broke the rules to get her closer to him because I guess he liked her physically, asked her if she could find a friend for him, and said that the friend would have to be able to tolerate pain. Something, I have no judgment for people's sexual preferences and sexual practices, but to be in an employment position and think that this is appropriate, you have to have a screw loose.
And remember those very unbecoming photos of him in a shirt that seemed to suggest, things consistent with that.
I was just about to ask that. Does he have nipple rings? Because I saw.
It sure looked like he did.
Oh, okay, nothing against it, people. Nothing against it. With great power comes great responsibility and the desire to pull out your schmeckle. So it's so hard to be a responsible leader. Keep your hands to yourself, period. Okay, what do we got here? Cuomo's a lot like Santa Claus. He knows he's been naughty. He knows who's been naughty, who's been nice in New York politics. It happens to be everybody, but Cuomo might yet twist the arm of the state Senate.
I just think there's so much public pressure, they don't have a choice but to take him out.
All right, enough with Cuomo. I mean, the next steps in this, we're going to presumably see impeachment proceedings and civil lawsuits flying.
Oh, yes. Civil lawsuits already pending or about to be filing, and impeachment proceedings already commencing.
All right. And the question I asked over Twitter, the criminal complaint that the media has been reporting on, not a public criminal complaint yet?
There's no criminal complaint. No, it was just a report by the Attorney General.
Okay. Because I thought I read
There's
something
a civil lawsuit that's about to be filed.
Okay. I thought I had read something somewhere of a criminal complaint that was filed by one of his accusers, but didn't see
there may have been someone file something with a local police office, but that's not, and if the Attorney General's not going to take criminal action, nobody else is.
All right. 2.1 thousand live on Rumble. Booyah, people. That's fantastic. I'm glad we're live on Rumble. I think I must have made a mistake last week on the RMTP code. I don't know what that stands for, but apparently I might have screwed it up last week. All right, Robert, what do we move on to now?